Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission, as always, is to take these big, ambitious ideas, the kind that can, reshape entire economies, and really break them down into the core knowledge you need to be thoroughly and thoughtfully informed.
And today, we are looking at something. Well, it's not just a policy document. It's really a massive national industrial transformation mandate. It's coming from one of the world's largest emerging economies.
That's right. This deep dive is all about India's Zero Defect Zero Effect, or ZED, scheme.
ZED. It's a simple acronym for a very, very complex idea.
It is, and to really set the scene, we have to go back. Back to a powerful address on India's 68th Independence Day. The mandate delivered by the Prime Minister was just so clear. It was a profound challenge issued to the entire manufacturing sector.
And specifically to the micro, small, and medium enterprises, the MSMEs.
Exactly, the MSMEs. They're often called the engine, the true backbone of the country's industrial capability.
Yeah. It was essentially the government setting a foundational dual standard. A philosophy, really, that had to drive every single manufactured good from that point forward. They were fundamentally linking India's industrial future to a global benchmark.
A benchmark of quality and sustainability.
Precisely.
And that dual philosophy is the whole focus of the ZED scheme. It's all encapsulated in two phrases that are, they're easy to remember, but
Incredibly hard to achieve.
incredibly hard. The first one, zero defect. What this means is that goods have to be manufactured in such a way that they carry absolutely zero defects. The ultimate goal, and this is the really aggressive part, is that exported goods must be so reliable they are never returned to India.
That is a staggering quality commitment. I mean, think about that. It's aimed directly at winning the trust of global consumers, a trust that can take decades to build.
And the second part, zero effect, is, like you said, just as transformative.
Oh, absolutely. This part ensures that the production process itself must not have a negative impact on the environment. It immediately links industrial performance, not just to, economic profit,
Right.
but to environmental responsibility and compliance, a huge shift.
Okay, so let's unpack this for a minute, because this is so much more than a simple quality control checklist
It's not a checklist at all.
or some basic environmental compliance audit you do once a year. This is about institutionalizing a complete industrial mindset shift. It's designed to change how India manufactures, both in terms of global output reliability and its planetary footprint.
And critically, this mandate was, it was intrinsically connected to the broader global invitation extended by the Prime Minister.
The massive Make in India initiative.
Exactly. VED provides the operational blueprint for how to fulfill that invitation successfully. You can't just invite the world to come make things. You have to show them the standard they'll be making too.
And that appeal, come Make in India, it was targeting investors across every sector you can imagine.
Everything from electronics to automobiles, agro-processing to, even advanced manufacturing like submarines.
The pitch wasn't just about, say, lower labor costs. It was about the country's inherent strengths, its skill, its talent, its discipline.
Right. The underlying dream was, and it still is, to transform that label Made in India into a recognized, reliable, global message, one that's synonymous with exceptional quality and trustworthiness.
But the critical importance of ZED itself, it really comes down to basic economics, doesn't it? Why the focus on ZED right after launching Make in India?
Because ensuring the competitiveness of India's vast and, very fragmented MSME sector is absolutely non-negotiable. It's that simple. Its success or failure directly determines the health of the entire manufacturing sector.
And by extension, the country's whole path to GDP improvement.
Precisely. Global markets are relentless. They're brutal. Competitors are judged not just on cost anymore, but on technology, on lean manufacturing processes, service delivery, and most importantly,
Defect-free products.
defect-free products. ZED is the direct policy response designed to rapidly create a template for industrialization and export-fueled growth. It's about ensuring that Indian products can successfully compete and make a definitive mark in those global value chains.
So that structural template brings us squarely into our first section, the rationale and the pillars of transformation.
And the sequencing here is so important. The initial announcement of Make in India, that generated all the excitement, the buzz. But the Zero Defect Zero Effect challenge that provided the structural rigor.
It put the government's intent into clear perspective.
It did. It showed the intent was to change the course of the economy by focusing on manufacturing as the sustained engine for growth.
Identifying that strategic intent is key, I think. ZED is the mechanism, the tool by which the enthusiasm of Make in India gets translated into measurable, verifiable, structural change within individual businesses.
Yes, but to make this feasible, especially for millions of really diverse businesses in the MSME sector, they needed robust support structures. These are the pillars of transformation.
Right, because without them, ZED would just be an ambitious slogan.
It would. So the policy identified three essential components that had to be developed and strengthened at the same time. They were the foundational vehicles for this whole industrial transformation.
Okay, so let's go through those three essential vehicles, because I think they really show the holistic approach the government was taking here. What's the first pillar?
The first pillar was addressing the ease of doing business in India. This was primarily led by the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, the DPI-IT. And their mandate wasn't just, administrative.
It was systemic.
Deeply systemic. It was about streamlining regulatory processes, reducing bureaucratic friction, and creating an operational environment that was welcoming to both domestic expansion and global investment.
And that's such a crucial precondition, isn't it? I mean, you can't ask companies to aim for global standards, for zero defect, if the basic operational environment is hostile.
Or just cumbersome.
Or requires endless permits, yeah. That friction immediately eats away at quality and efficiency.
Absolutely. So once you start fixing that, the second pillar can come in. And that one directly addressed the quality side of the ZED concept.
So what was it?
The confidence and quality of source material, components, and services. This is the core quality assurance piece. If a car part is made in India, ZED needs to assure the international buyer that the raw materials, the subcomponents, even the logistics surrounding it all meet these high reliable standards.
So you have the business environment, you have the quality of materials. The third pillar must tackle the people side of things.
It does. The human capital required to sustain this massive upgrade, that is, making available competent human resource to drive the change. A high-quality ecosystem demands high-quality personnel.
It makes sense.
So this means creating a pipeline of skilled assessors, consultants, engineers, and trainers who can implement, manage, and sustain ZED practices consistently across all these different enterprises.
So while DPIT was handling the big picture, the macroeconomic regulatory environment, the operational focus then shifted. It shifted to the MSME link itself.
Right. The Ministry of MSME, working very closely with the Quality Council of India, or QCI, they were tasked with creating a specific, actionable scheme targeting this exact sector.
And why them? Why was the MSME sector so central to this?
Well, that's the strategic heart of the policy. The MSME sector is often cited as the true propellant for sustained economic growth in India. But it's also the most vulnerable. It's vulnerable to fragmented quality control, to obsolete technology, so the mission was clear.
Drastically improve their quality and competitiveness.
And the whole national economy benefits exponentially. That is where the ZED certification model was formally born.
And the resulting ZED ecosystem, it seems it's designed to do much more than just issue a one-time compliance certificate. It's more of an active partnership.
It is intensely calibrated. The system is built to first make aware, that's step one, then to assess and certify, and then, most importantly, to counsel and to handhold these MSMEs. The structure actively encourages businesses to continuously rise up the ZED ladder.
Not just settle for the entry-level certification.
Exactly. Don't just get bronze and stop. The ultimate goal, then, is about achieving true self-reliance at Manipur, but through quality. It enhances global competitiveness, it reduces reliance on imports, and, as a natural consequence of all that, it provides greater, higher-skilled career opportunities for Indian youth.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture,
ZED is fundamentally about linking that national and economic transformation with individual enterprise improvement. It establishes this necessary link between quality, mandated sustainability, self-reliance, and job creation that's auditable and measurable.
and if you look at the strategic design, the ambition of the policy just becomes clearer and clearer. Why link the small business owner's success so directly to these huge national policy goals?
Because of the sheer volume. Scaling up millions of small businesses requires a process that is incentivized, standardized, and repeatable. You can't do it one by one.
Okay, let's delve into the specific aims of this program then. The core objectives of ZED certification. They provide a pretty comprehensive blueprint of what success looks like. The sources list 6 primary aims.
Right. And the first objective is intensely practical. It marries the two mandates. It's to encourage and enable MSMEs for manufacturing quality products using the latest technology and tools.
But there's a critical addendum to that, isn't there?
There is. They must constantly upgrade their processes for the achievement of high quality and high productivity with the least effect on the environment. That last part is key.
That sets the standard high right from the start. It's not just about minimizing defects, it's maximizing efficiency while minimizing environmental impact. What's the second aim?
The second one focuses on collective impact, developing an ecosystem for ZED manufacturing and MSMEs for enhancing competitiveness and enabling exports. The goal here is to create a shared, recognized high standard across the entire sector.
So it's not just one company being great, it's the whole ecosystem being seen as great.
Exactly. The third is about recognition and non-financial motivation. It's to promote the adoption of ZED practices and recognize the efforts of successful MSMEs. This recognition, tied to the highly visible bronze, silver, and gold certification levels, gives them immediate market differentiation.
And a source of organizational pride, I imagine.
For sure. And that leads directly to the fourth objective, which uses the financial lever. It's to encourage MSMEs to achieve higher ZED certification levels through graded incentives. We know the structure encourages continuous improvement. The financial incentives are the fuel for that upward climb.
Okay, so that's 4. The fifth one seems to shift focus outward, from the producer to the buyer.
It does, and it's a fascinating layer. It's increasing public awareness on demanding zero defect and zero effect products through the MSME Sustainable ZED certification. This aims to build domestic consumer support for high-quality, sustainable goods.
So you create market pressure that reinforces the policy.
That's the idea.
That's really smart. If domestic consumers start actively looking for the ZED certification badge on a product, it makes achieving the standard not just a compliance issue, but a real competitive marketing advantage.
Exactly. And the final objective, the sixth one, closes the policy feedback loop. It's to identify areas to improve upon, thereby assisting the government in policy decisions and investment prioritization.
So the data they collect from the program feeds back into future policy.
Right. By collecting data on the specific challenges MSMEs face in achieving ZED standards, where they struggle with defects or environmental impact, the government gets crucial intelligence for future support and, where to put its money.
So those 6 points really show that ZED is a fully circular program. It incentivizes, educates, certifies, and then uses the resulting data to refine future policy. Let's move on. Section 2. Building the ZED ecosystem and certification structure. How is this grand idea actually made actionable on the ground?
Well, the implementation strategy is really comprehensive. It's designed to support MSMEs across all these various stages of readiness and development. It relies on a multi-pronged approach.
Okay, let's start with the outreach. The first hurdle is always awareness, right?
It always is. And that begins with industry awareness programs and workshops. These are nationwide programs delivered both online and face-to-face. They're essential for making MSMEs aware of the certification, the benefits, and the whole process.
And they involve a lot of different stakeholders.
A broad network, including industry associations, implementing agencies, and critically, the large enterprises or original equipment manufacturers, the OEMs.
Bringing in the OEMs is highly strategic. I mean, they are the biggest customers for MSMEs. If they start demanding ZED compliance from their suppliers,
It creates a powerful demand-side pull for the certification, much faster than any government mandate could achieve on its own. It creates market accountability.
Okay, so after awareness, what's the second component?
The second component addresses the quality of the support system itself, training programs. This involves training the personnel responsible for implementation, the MSME officers, the assessors, the consultants, on the specific ZED certification process.
And this training isn't just internal, right?
No, it's done in collaboration with expert partners, people like the QCI, the Bureau of Indian Standards, BIS, and the National Productivity Council, NPC. That ensures a standardized high level of expertise across the board.
So we have awareness for the businesses, and we have trained implementers. The third component is where the rubber meets the road: assessment and certification.
Right. In this phase, MSMEs are assessed through a calibrated approach. It starts with desktop verification, moves to remote assessment, and can potentially culminate in an on-site assessment, depending on the level they've applied for. If they fulfill the requirements, they're awarded the relevant certification level.
But, as we noted, certification alone isn't enough to guarantee the zero effects side of the equation. That often requires significant capital investment.
Correct. And that's where the fourth component, hand-holding, becomes so vital.
Tell me more about that.
Hand-holding provides direct, tailored support, which we'll detail in a bit, but its purpose is explicitly defined as twofold. First, to help MSMEs achieve higher ZED levels, pushing them up that bronze, silver, gold ladder.
And the second purpose?
The second, and this is where that big RS3 LAC fund comes in, it provides support toward technology upgradation, specifically for moving towards zero-effect solutions, like adopting cleaner technology and pollution control measures.
And beyond this direct support, the whole operation is built on modern infrastructure, I assume.
Oh, absolutely. The reliance on a single-window digital platform for the entire ZED certification process is it's non-negotiable. It ensures transparency, minimizes paper use, and maximizes accessibility no matter how remote an MSME's location is.
And finally, the scheme requires ongoing promotional efforts.
Yes. The PR campaign, advertising and brand promotion, this is all to popularize the certification and strengthen the ZED brand, making it a badge that carries real weight both domestically and internationally.
Okay, so let's map out the actual steps a business has to take. What is the fundamental entry ticket?
The foundational requirement is really simple: registration. All MSMEs that are registered with the UDM registration portal are eligible to participate and avail all the benefits. No UDM registration, no ZED benefits. It's the gatekeeper.
And the very first step on the ZED journey itself is taking the ZED pledge. We can think of this as a declaration of intent, right? The moment the MSME decides to commit.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's a pre-commitment. A solemn digital promise to uphold the values of zero defect, zero effect. It is the mandatory starting point before you can apply for any official certification level, bronze, silver, or gold. It urges the MSME to start that internal journey of self-assessment.
And the government immediately rewards this commitment with more than just a pat on the back.
Indeed. There is an immediate critical benefit tied to taking that pledge, which we'll get into soon, the Rs 10,000 joining reward. But there's also immediate access to necessary capacity-building measures through something called MSME COACH.
COACH. That stands for Knowledge Acquisition through WASH for an accelerated COVID-19 handling, and it's focused specifically on the WASH standard.
That's right, the Workplace Assessment for Safety and Hygiene. This link is vital because it shows ZED is not just about the product leaving the factory, it's about the holistic health of the workplace.
So it's about global standards for workers, too.
It recognizes that global supply chains now demand robust workplace safety and hygiene standards, especially after recent public health challenges. It's preparing the MSME workforce for global expectations.
So once the pledge is taken, our hypothetical MSME, let's call them Sanjay's Small Parts Inc., can apply for certification. This is the structural core we really need to dive into, the 3 defined levels.
The certification ladder has 3 rungs: Certification Level 1, Bronze E, Certification Level 2, Silver, and Certification Level 3, Gold D. These levels represent an incremental commitment to quality and environmental management.
Okay, what are the conceptual differences between these 3 levels? This is a key distinction we need to make clear.
It's a very key. The ZED framework uses 50 parameters across various organizational aspects, things like quality, systems, environment, and technology, to define these levels.
Let's look at bronze first. What does ZED Bronze E actually signify?
Bronze is the foundational stage. It signifies that the MSME has begun the journey. They've implemented basic, necessary, documented procedures. You can think of it as establishing a reliable internal system.
What would that look like in practice?
For example, bronze would require documented processes for measuring defects and waste, having internal quality audits, maintaining safety and hygiene like that WASH standard, and committing to proper energy usage tracking. It's about establishing transparency and accountability within the unit.
So, Sanjay's Small Parts Inc. getting bronze means they have moved from, say, ad hoc management to a system that is documented and repeatable. It allows them to measure their baseline performance.
Precisely. Now, Silver, Level 2, significantly raises the bar. ZED Silver signifies that the MSME has gone beyond just documentation and has achieved measurable improvements. They're often integrating concepts like lean manufacturing.
So they're actively demonstrating a sustained reduction in defects and waste.
Exactly. A Silver MSME might have established quantifiable metrics for reducing energy consumption. They might have implemented basic pollution prevention measures, and they could show a year-over-year decrease in customer returns. It moves from having a system, which is bronze, to showing positive results from that system, which is silver.
And it often involves initial investments in better machinery or process optimization, I guess.
It does. And finally, ZED Gold E. This has to be the apex.
The world-class standard.
It is. Gold, level 3, is reserved for enterprises that demonstrate world-class performance. They are integrating ZED principles into their entire supply chain and their company culture. A gold MSME doesn't just reduce its environmental effect. It actively pursues zero-effect solutions, potentially through circular economy models or advanced pollution control.
I imagine gold involves some leading-edge technology.
Absolutely. Gold requires continuous innovation, verifiable advanced sustainability metrics, like using renewable energy sources or advanced effluent treatment plants, and engaging with their own suppliers and customers to drive zero defect, zero effect across the entire extended value chain. It's the highest tier of global competitiveness.
That distinction makes the certification ladder really meaningful. So after taking the pledge, Sanjay's Small Parts Inc. can apply for any level they feel they can fulfill.
Right. The application process is all online, and it requires an official undertaking. And here's a smart piece of policy design. If they find a nonconformity during the assessment, the applicant MSME is given a defined period of time to close those gaps before final certification is issued.
So it's a mechanism designed to encourage correction and ultimate compliance, not just punitive failure.
Exactly. It's supportive. And as they improve, they are encouraged to upgrade. MSMEs can opt for upgrading their certification level at any point before their existing ZED certification expires. The cost and subsidy structure just remains the same for the new level they apply for.
The whole system is dynamic. It encourages that jump from bronze to silver as soon as operational improvements are solidified. That structure is fantastic. Now, let's move into what truly motivates businesses, Section 3. Financial incentives and subsidies. This is where the policy really puts its money where its mouth is.
That certainly is.
Here's where it gets really interesting. We're talking about the hard numbers. The numbers designed to dramatically lower the cost barrier to achieving world-class quality. Certification, especially at silver and gold levels, requires extensive consulting, audits, sometimes technology upgrades. How does the scheme handle those fees?
The scheme offers very substantial financial assistance, or subsidy, on the cost of the certification itself, and this support is strategically graded based on the size of the enterprise. It's a clear acknowledgement that smaller units face disproportionately higher relative costs when they have to hire professional consultants.
Okay, let's detail that basic size-based subsidy structure because it really reflects the priority of the program.
For microenterprises, the smallest units, the scheme offers the highest support, a very generous 80% subsidy on the cost of certification. For small enterprises, that subsidy is still substantial at 60%.
And for the medium ones?
And for medium enterprises, which have greater internal resources, the subsidy stands at 50%.
That graded strategy is brilliant. Strategically, why is that 80% subsidy for microenterprises so crucial?
Because the biggest barrier to entry for a microenterprise isn't always the final price tag. It's the cost of that initial gap analysis and consulting. And 80% subsidy essentially removes the majority of that consulting cost. It makes the difference between operating informally and adopting professional standards almost negligible in terms of financial strain.
So it ensures the high cost of implementing world-class quality management systems doesn't act as a financial barrier for the smallest players.
It's an economic de-risking strategy for the smallest, most essential industrial units. But the policy goes even further. It incentivizes inclusion and supports specific regional development goals.
Right, these additional financial boosts.
That's right. The scheme is designed to promote inclusion and cluster development by offering additional financial boosts that can stack on top of that size-based subsidy.
Okay, detail the 10% boost for us.
There is a 10% additional subsidy provided to MSMEs that meet specific demographic or geographic criteria. This boost applies to MSMEs that are owned by women or by scheduled caste as C or scheduled tribe ST entrepreneurs.
Or if the MSME is located in a priority development region.
Exactly. This 10% boost also applies to MSMEs located in specific prioritized regions. That includes the Northeastern region, NER, Himalayan territories, left-wing extremism, LWE, affected territories, island territories, or the designated aspirational districts.
That is a powerful mechanism to ensure regional equity and support marginalized entrepreneurs in what are often very difficult operating areas.
It is. And there's a further boost for MSMEs that are formally clustered together, which is a mechanism for leveraging economies of scale and knowledge sharing.
What's that one?
It's an additional 5% additional subsidy given to MSMEs that are already part of other ministry programs, specifically the SFRTI scheme or the MSE-CDP, which is the Micro and Small Enterprises Cluster Development Program.
We have to pause and appreciate the policy design here. By offering stacked subsidies, potentially up to 95% for some, the government is acknowledging that these critical sectors don't just need a gentle nudge, they need a full, subsidized push to meet world-class standards.
The stacking mechanism ensures that the most vulnerable or strategically important MSMEs could achieve gold certification almost entirely funded by the government. It effectively eliminates the cost barrier for transformation. And as we noted earlier, the subsidy structure just gets reapplied if an MSME decides to upgrade their certification level at any time.
Let's focus now on that unique front-loaded incentive, the Rs 10,000 joining reward. This is offered right at the beginning of the ZED journey, immediately upon commitment.
This is a limited-purpose reward. It's offered only once per MSME unit, and it's when they take that mandatory ZED pledge. It's an immediate, tangible incentive for committing to the process and just overcoming inertia.
But it's not just cash, is it? It's a commitment trigger.
Precisely. This reward is valid only for 1 year. The MSME must utilize this Rs 10,000 amount within that time frame, and it has to be utilized towards obtaining a ZED certification bronze, silver, or gold. It's strategically designed to push the business past the pledge and into the actual necessary assessment process.
The calculation modality for this reward is quite specific, and this detail really shows the strategic intent behind it. Tell us the order of operations. How does it work?
Okay, so if the joining reward is utilized, the reward amount is first deducted from the total cost of certification. Then the applicable standard subsidy, the 80%, 60%, or 50% plus any additional boosts, is applied to the balance amount.
That calculation mechanism is brilliant. It ensures that the Rs 10,000 isn't wasted on peripheral costs. It's locked in to trigger the actual assessment, forcing commitment, and maximizing the leverage of the government's investment.
Think of it like a dedicated cash coupon you have to spend first. Let's take Sanjay Small Parts Inc. again. They're a micro-enterprise, so they're eligible for the 80% subsidy. Let's say the cost for bronze certification is Rs 12,000.
Okay, so if the Rs 10,000 is deducted first, the cost immediately drops to Rs 2,000.
Correct. Then the 80% subsidy is applied to that remaining Rs 2,000. That subsidy covers Rs 1,600. The MSME is left paying just Rs 400 out of pocket for a bronze ZED certification.
And if the cost of bronze was, say, Rs 10,000 or less?
Then the effective cost to the MSME becomes completely zero.
Wow. And what if Sanjay Small Parts Inc. decides to aim for silver or gold, where the costs are significantly higher? Say, gold costs 50,000.
The process is the same. The Rs 10,000 is still adjusted first, reducing the cost to Rs 40,000. Since they are a micro-enterprise, the 80% subsidy applies to that remaining Rs 40,000. That means the subsidy covers Rs 32,000 of the remaining cost,
Leaving the MSME to pay only Rs 8,000 for a gold standard certification.
exactly, for a Rs 50,000 certification.
That level of detail just demonstrates the scheme's robust financial architecture. It removes the two biggest obstacles at the same time: the upfront cost of commitment with the Rs 10,000 voucher and the long-term cost of professional compliance through the greater percentage subsidies.
It creates an irresistible financial argument for moving quickly from commitment to action within that 1-year window. This is what truly drives participation and makes the ED more than just a quality standard. It's an immediate, subsidized economic opportunity for transformation.
That brings us to Section 4, hand-holding, surveillance, and sustaining ZED. Because once certification is achieved, the real challenge begins maintaining and improving that quality standard over time.
Right. And what's fascinating here is ZED isn't designed as a one-time audit badge you hang on the wall. It's a commitment to continuous improvement. And the government has backed that commitment with substantial financial support to ensure that improvement actually happens over the long term.
Let's look at who is eligible for these intensive support programs. Does a business that only takes the pledge qualify for handholding?
No. Eligibility for handholding support is only granted to MSMEs that have achieved a minimum bronze certification. This ensures that the MSME has already established a foundational audited commitment to ZED principles before the government commits additional large-scale funds for consultancy and technology.
It's a prove you're serious first approach.
In a way, yes. And the financial allocation for this long-term support is substantial. It's really aimed at funding significant technology adoption.
What are the numbers?
There's a provision of up to Rs 5 lakhs per MSME made available specifically for hand-holding and consultancy support. This is aimed at assisting them in migrating towards full zero-defect, zero-effect solutions.
And this Rs 5 lakh maximum is broken down into two very distinct financial buckets, right? Each targeting a different type of expenditure.
Yes. The first bucket, up to Rs 2 lakhs, is explicitly to be utilized for direct hand-holding support through specialized consulting organizations. This covers the cost of bringing in external experts to conduct a thorough gap analysis, to advise on silver or gold level best practices, and to coach the MSME on systemic process improvements.
So this is paying for the brains, the strategy, the roadmap for improvement. And the second, larger bucket targets the actual physical transformation required for zero effect.
That's the other part, up to Rs 3 lakhs, which may be utilized towards critical technology upgradation. This money is earmarked specifically for zero-effect solutions, such as acquiring or installing pollution control measures, implementing efficient material handling, or investing in the cleaner technology and equipment needed to meet that gold standard.
And I'm guessing the subsidy structure for these hand-holding and technology funds exactly mirrors the structure we discussed for the certification costs.
Precisely. Microenterprises receive an 80% subsidy on this, small enterprises receive 60%, and medium enterprises get 50%. Plus, they are eligible for the same stacking of the 10% additional subsidy for inclusion criteria and the 5% additional subsidy for cluster participation.
So an MSME can potentially receive nearly 95% of that Rs 5 lakh investment subsidized, depending on their profile. The government is essentially underwriting the majority of their technological and environmental transformation.
It's an enormous incentive for capital expenditure. However, the utilization of that Rs 3 lakhs for zero-effect solutions is subject to rigorous, multi-layered checks.
Why the extra scrutiny on the Rs 3 lakh fund compared to the Rs 2 lakh consulting fund?
Because the Rs 3 lakhs is tied to capital expenditure things like installing an effluent treatment plant or solar thermal systems. This is an irreversible investment, and it has to directly align with ZED's environmental goals.
So there are checks and balances.
3 steps. First, the consultant's recommendations confirming the necessity. Second, verification by the respective MSME DI, that's the local field institute, that the plan is sound. And finally, approval by the PMAC, the High-Level Project Monitoring and Advisory Committee.
That multi-layered approval ensures the funds are used efficiently for legitimate, long-term environmental and technological upgrades. It prevents misuse while ensuring strategic impact.
Exactly. So once a business has been certified, and especially since they've availed these substantial government subsidies and benefits, ongoing oversight is mandatory.
And the Ministry of MSME is very clear on this. They reserve the right to inspect any certified MSME that has availed any subsidy or incentive under the scheme to ensure the ZED standard is being upheld over time.
And that oversight is formalized through the surveillance mechanism. A mandatory surveillance assessment is conducted by QCI's accredited assessment agencies after a period of 18 months of achieving ZED certification. This serves as a critical midpoint check.
18 months. Why that specific time frame?
It seems to strike a balance. It's long enough after the initial certification rush to see if the changes have truly become ingrained in the company culture. But it's not so long that systemic defects or environmental slippage can become entrenched.
And critically, this surveillance assessment does not cover all levels.
Correct. Surveillance is only applicable to those MSMBs that have achieved the higher commitment tiers, silver and gold certification levels. Since bronze is considered the foundational entry-level achievement, the focus of sustained government auditing is on those who have committed to more extensive, market-competitive sustained changes.
And how is the surveillance conducted? Is this another costly, time-consuming on-site audit?
Thankfully, no. The assessment is conducted as a remote assessment for both silver and gold levels, which is far more resource efficient for both the QCI and the MSME. However, there's still a cost associated with this necessary oversight, which is partially borne by the MSME.
Okay, let's detail those ongoing costs, as our listeners will want to know the financial mechanics of sustaining certification.
The cost for the surveillance assessment is fixed based on the level. The ZED silver level assessment costs Rs 10,000, and the ZED gold level assessment costs Rs 20,000.
And the government assists with these recurring, ongoing costs, too.
Yes. The financial assistance, or subsidy, for the surveillance assessment follows the exact same standard graded structure we've been discussing. Microenterprises receive 80% subsidy, small get 60%, and medium get 50%. It reinforces the idea that ZED is a continuous partnership in quality maintenance.
So why does surveillance skip bronze? What's the thinking there?
I think the expectation for a foundational status is just different from a sustained competitive status. Bronze establishes the system. Silver and gold prove the system works under pressure and requires substantial ongoing commitment and resources. So the government focuses its expensive assessment resources, even remote ones, on verifying the most valuable and market-facing achievements.
Makes sense. Finally, what happens when the certificate's validity expires after its full term?
That triggers the renewal process. After expiry, MSMEs can apply for renewal of their ZED certification level in order to continue availing all the associated financial benefits and incentives. This ensures the MSME maintains an ongoing, accountable cycle of commitment, assessment, improvement, and recertification.
It's clear that ZED is designed as a fully subsidized mandatory cycle of continuous quality assurance. It's heavily weighted toward technology upgrades and environmental compliance, moving the entire MSME sector up the value chain.
That structural design, linking subsidy to commitment at every single stage, from the pledge reward to the high-tech hand-holding funds right through to the renewal subsidies, that's what makes this scheme such a unique and potent industrial policy tool. It's investment disguised as regulation.
So after all that, what does this all mean?
It means the success of the overarching Make in India initiative rests directly on the ability of its vast MSME network to adhere to those two non-negotiable standards: defect-free products and zero environmental harm. ZED provides the precise, financially backed template for achieving that industrial transformation,
So it ensures that global competitiveness is built not just through low cost.
but through the universally recognized language of quality, verifiable technology, innovation, and environmental responsibility.
We've tracked the ZED journey from the simple declaration of the ZED pledge through the rigorous requirements of bronze, silver, and gold. We've examined the massive support structure, including the stacked subsidies and hand-holding funds that can reach up to Rs 5 lakhs per MSME for technology upgrades. This is the government investing deeply in creating a new identity for Indian manufacturing on the global stage.
Indeed. It transforms the MSME from a localized supplier into an audited, globally competitive entity. But consider the operational and cultural shift required across millions of businesses. If ZED succeeds in achieving widespread high-level adoption, a significant majority of MSMEs hitting silver or gold, what are the cascading effects, not just on India's economy and its GDP, but on global manufacturing standards?
And that's the provocative thought we want to leave you with. How does incentivizing quality and sustainability, by massively underwriting the cost of compliance and transformation, change the global expectations for universally zero-effect supply chains? If a manufacturing powerhouse like India fully commits to and funds this standard, does it permanently shift the goalposts for every other nation competing in the global market?
That's the potential for a truly profound global ripple effect, driven by policy design and rigorous financial mechanics. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the zero defect, zero effect scheme.
We hope this provided you with the quick, detailed, and structured insight you needed to understand this critical transformation in Indian industry. We'll see you next.